Nance, if you could get some of the AI stuff, if you can manage that.
Yep. Got it.
Everybody in. Admit. Where is admit all?
I clicked it.
Oh.
Yep.
Everybody's here. Okay,
We are
cool.
live.
I did not even see that. Well, we have two people running the show. Hey everybody, welcome to day number 4. So as you come in, as always, drop into the comments below hi and where you are tuning in from. Obviously Nancy and I are on 2 different screens today. She's upstairs in our upstairs office. I am downstairs in the downstairs office. Reason being, we actually have some group trainings to do today outside of this. So you guys are with me for the second half of today. And obviously Nancy's going to be popping off at around 1:30. So we are together for the next 30 minutes and then 30 minutes with just me. So the big thing that we obviously are going to be going over today is creating a clear content strategy. So obviously in day 1, we went over the principles of getting clear on your niche. Obviously in day 2, creating that clear message of what is going to be brought to your audience. Yesterday, we went through choosing the social media platform of your choice. And now that you've done that, we are going to be going over a content strategy of what you're going to do on that social media platform of your choice. So just to reiterate, type in the chat, what social media platform did you choose to use as a leading platform that's going to be best for you, your business, and your offering? So I'm seeing a lot of LinkedIn. Awesome. And again, LinkedIn is one of those things where I can't share with you guys enough the importance of it. Again, when you have something of high value to share, that's where all the business is happening. And just another bit of housekeeping, just remember, the replay emails go out at 7 a.m. every single morning. It's the same replay link. They're just going to populate on that replay page. They're available to watch back until Monday. There's going to be multiple emails sent out each day, just giving you some warnings of when we're going live, obviously for each day's training, an hour before, 15 minutes before, and then obviously we are live right now. Also, just remember, there's going to be another accountability assignment after today's session. So there'll be 2 more winners announced at the end of today, and there'll be 2 tomorrow and then 2 Saturday morning, which is our bonus Q&A session that you will be having with Nancy at 11 a.m. EDT. Same Zoom link. It's obviously just going to be a different time. So you're just going to use the same link that you've been using all week for this 1 o'clock sessions. You're going to use that same one for the 11 o'clock session. So if everybody is clear on all of that, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure everybody is clear. Awesome. And then we'll talk a little bit more about it at the end of today. But obviously we announced yesterday about our group coaching program, Expert Authority, that we do have 4 remaining spots. 4 people have already booked calls. So for all those that took action and booked a call to learn how to take one of the remaining 4 spots, congratulations. We'll be going into a little bit more detail of the program and what it entails later in today's session. But again, if you're interested, obviously we would love to have you. The doors are officially open. We are ready for people to claim those last few spots, round out the year on a high note, and then steamroll into 2024, which actually brings me to a really great point to make. And I'm going to turn it to Nancy in a second. And I shared this with you guys yesterday. Backstory. We had a woman by the name of Teresa Sanderson join our program this time last year. And she was kind of like stalled out in her business. She had been stuck at the same income level for a number of years, and she was looking to, really up level. So if you guys can relate to that, if your income has kind of stalled, grown just a little bit, or even backwards, drop a Y or a yes in the chat, just so we know. So, and again, it's okay if your income has stayed the same, has gone backwards. But the fact of the matter is a lot can happen in 12 months. So if you guys can turn up the volume on your computers or whatever you're watching, I just wanted to play a little testimonial that Teresa actually did for us, that she wanted to share this message with you guys. It's a 2-minute message. So I wanted to play this first, just so you guys can hear from someone else the power of how much can change in 12 short months.
Well, hey everybody, it's Teresa Sanderson. I'm super excited to connect with you today. I'm here really just because I have to give a shout out to Scott and Nancy Aaron, who have helped me so much with my business in just the last, I think, 8 months or so. It's just been an incredible, amazingly fun ride to be a part of their Expert Authority training program that has helped me in the first 6 months of 2023 to more than double the income I earned in the entire year of 2022. So I want you to get your arms around that, get your brain around that, because this program is the real deal, in my opinion. And it's helped me go from an online business that was very unstable. It didn't have a predictable income, and really not much traction, to being identified as truly the authority in my field, in the digital space, and also creating all of the systems and practical strategies that allow my ideal clients to connect with me easily and very spontaneously. So going from a very unstable income, very unpredictable income, to income now that has surpassed $25,000, $35,000 in a month is very, very exciting. And so if you are looking for a training program, if you're looking for a coaching program that really will show you all of the systems and tools and things that you need to go through this process in just a step-by-step way and turn your business on. That's the thing. I already had a viable product. I had so many good things in place, but what I didn't have was the right systems, and I didn't know the step-by-step methods to turn it on. And that is what Expert Authority has given me. So Scott and Nancy Aaron, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you is just not a big enough set of words for what you have been able to help me achieve in such a short time. So for those of you who are watching, I'm also filming this in our RV. My business is totally remote, able to be managed from anywhere. So if you're looking to create your dream life, if you're looking to start your business in the online world, I can't recommend this highly enough. Thanks. Hope it's helpful. Bye.
So just wanted to share that with all of you. And I know that you guys, some of you said you couldn't hear it clearly. So hopefully you got the gist. Teresa, right now, as we speak, she's on an Alaskan cruise with her husband, and she's picking up clients all the time. And the thing that we wanted to share is that, she doubled her income in only 6 months. And that is real. That could happen to anyone. And that's really, we wanted to really make sure that all of you got the gist of, what could happen in a short amount of time when you have the right things in place. And here's the thing that people need to know about entrepreneurs. Nancy shared this statistic, which I thought, she's a coaching consultant, Georgia. The interesting thing is 85% of entrepreneurs are intrinsic learners, which means they run off accountability, and 15% obviously are self-motivated. So the majority of people, the reason why they aren't achieving the goals that they're achieving is because they are lacking accountability. They are lacking systems in place. They are lacking people there to guide them. And you can only go at it alone and by yourself for so long. But the bigger question is this, and we're going to dive in right now, is, how many more months, how many more years do you want things to be exactly where they are until you're finally ready to make that leap? We really want to invite you to take that next step. And, Teresa made that next step where she used the fourth quarter of last year to build the foundations of what she needed to do to skyrocket starting in the beginning of this year. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what we want for all of you. Nance, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I love Teresa. I mean, she really is an action taker. What I will say is, sometimes people ask, when they join programs, is there a guarantee? Is there a guarantee that if you take action, yes, it will work. All the strategies and things that we teach you is what we have done. I think one thing that is important, right? Scott and I have spent tons of money, tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, hundreds of thousands on training, personal development, masterminds ourselves, being part of things. And one thing that was always missing, in there was we were getting a lot of the what, but not the how. And so we really wanted to make a program that really clearly laid out what you need to do to really grow a business, but not just grow a business that's actually high margin and low expenses, right? So the majority of what we teach you is not spending XYZ additional amounts of money, to grow your business and to spend. It's doing it in a much different way. And so, the last mastermind that we were part of really leaned into, okay, you want to grow this $1 million business and you got to hire 1 million team members and you got to do all these things. And the reality behind the scenes was they weren't making that much money. They were paying out a lot more and the expenditures were high and the stress was high. So again, we teach you guys how to do a business, the way that we've done it, which is low stress, time flexibility, right? Being able to work three days a week. And, you saw with Teresa, she's traveling with her husband. Her husband actually just retired. So they're being able to do both and run a business that's better than it's ever been. So definitely wanted to just tack that on there, but we're super excited to dive into today's training. So Scott, I'm going to share my screen. And then whenever I have to jump off, so in about 15 minutes, Scott's going to kind of take the baton and continue carrying it on. But today's topic is one that I love to teach on because I think the majority of people that I meet in entrepreneurship and obviously in professional services, they get really overwhelmed and they get really frustrated when it comes to content creation. And I love this and I love talking about this because I like to take complex things and make them fun. Okay, when we can. And if not fun, let's break it down and make it simple. So it's at least something that you guys can plug into, that you can repeat, you can get it, obviously into your business. So I'm going to do a little share screen. Scott, let's see, I'm going to make sure to hide the video panel as we normally do. So if you guys can just type a Y or a yes in the chat box, if you're able to see my screen, just so I know we are good. Okay, perfect. All right. So today we're going to break down a strategy. Again, we're giving you a very simple kind of overview of how you do this. And I want to really clarify that this process, right, you can kind of tailor it, you can tweak it to your needs. But it's really going to create a nice little organizational system that you can repeat, whether it be once a month to actually batch out your content, right? That's actually creating it all at once in maybe one day, or maybe to complete it, a couple weeks in advance or even weekly. So as we dive in, we're really going to talk about one of the biggest things, and this was something that really helped me, and that's a way to organize and to figure out what the heck we're going to talk about, right? So day one, and day two, we really talked about getting specific around your niche and, who you're targeting and who you're focusing on as far as generating leads. Well, when it comes to content, right, we want to create content for the people that we're looking to attract, right? We're not creating content for us. So you're not just creating content for the heck of creating content. You actually want to share value. You want to put wonderful information out there to people. Okay. And so what we're about to dive in is going to help answer, well, what the heck does that look like? And what the heck do I post? So first off, we're going to jump into the idea of content buckets. Okay. So these are different topics that you can talk about that are going to help tell your ideal client what they need to know about you, your business, and your offering, right? So let's say I'm a business coach. I don't want to just talk about anything and everything, right? That's confusing. We want to talk about stuff that's related or relevant to our business so that our people can consume our content and understand what it is that we do. Excuse me. So if you want to think about, right, the different pieces of content that you want to create, first off, what do you want to be known for? Right. So I know many of you, right, have either worked with Scott or you have heard of Scott, but Scott, right, is a LinkedIn expert. Scott is known for LinkedIn. He wants to be known for LinkedIn. That's how he has been able to really, generate some awesome speaking engagements, amazing partnerships, so on and so forth, and write the books. But he wants to be known as a LinkedIn expert so that when companies do need a speaker, when people do need the expertise of LinkedIn, they know exactly who to reach out to for.
So on that point really quickly, Nancy, drop into the chat. What would you guys like to be known for? Because this is the big thing when you are growing your own business, your own personal brand. That's the beauty of it, because you can grow and expand it any which way you want. You can have a branded podcast, a branded book. You can create as much wealth as you want, because you can actually create products and services and multiple ways to help people everywhere. So you have to understand is that, what you have to have is something special, something unique, and is proven. And we've talked about social proof, but you have to understand, if you know what you want to be known for, you got to throw some gasoline on that fire.
Absolutely. And you got to think about it, right? I always tell people, right? I always use the quote from Seth Godin: if you have no empathy, you have no business being in marketing. Guys, and empathy is putting yourself in your client's shoes. It's thinking about, okay, well, what is that person dealing with? I often, used to challenge my clients to think about your ideal client, from the time that they wake up in the morning to the time that they go to bed. What are the things that they're dealing with? What are their pain points? What are they searching for solutions for? So keep that all related to what it is that you do and the problems that you solve. And that's what you're going to start creating content around. Okay. So the tips are, we don't want to be mentally scattered, right? The content you post should be in line with what your audience wants and needs from you. Think of it like a magazine. In fact, years ago, whenever I was doing research, Scott was laughing about this, but I signed up and I subscribed for about to about 15 magazines.
Too many.
I wanted to really get an idea, right, of what certain magazines were putting out there. Because if you think about it, right, a lot of the magazines talk about the same things. Right. So if it's a health magazine, it's going to talk about nutrition. Maybe there's some recipes in there. There's some exercises. There's some hot topics on the industry. I mean, every single magazine was the same. And I'm like, this is exactly how content should work, right? If someone's checking out your social media, it should almost be like, okay, cool. I want to visit Linda's page because I want to learn about this. I want to visit Linda's, content because she talks about this. A gentleman I follow, Andy Crestadina, he talks all about, online marketing and content creation. So think about the thing that you really want to get across, and obviously the value that you are going to provide to people. Okay. Now you're just giving you an example, right? If I were to focus on personal branding, right? So obviously that's what I write the book on. I help a lot of people build their personal brands. But if I want to focus on that as my main, right, what it is that I offer, and I want to start breaking down some different content topics and content buckets, some things that I could choose to talk about are, maybe one could be value, right? So things that my clients need to know, right? How to build a personal brand. Why is it important to build a personal brand, right? All those things. I could go on for days, right, to talk about all the different things under personal branding. Now, the next is topics in line with the product or service that you offer. So let's say within my services, I provide content creation services. Okay, well, I want to basically talk about, right, all the different things surrounding that. Why is it important to create content? What types of content should you be creating? Why video is so on and so forth, right? You can go on for days for that. The third one is, what are you the go-to expert in? So again, I go back to personal branding, but I could also, dig into business strategy and some other things. Areas of expertise, right? So think about SEO. And whenever I say think about SEO, what are certain things, again, people are going to be searching for, right? Hot topics around what it is that you teach. What is your ideal audience searching for? All right. So these are just, again, some little ideas of ways that you can come up with content topics. Now, I will tell you, right? Like we often, like to use AI to help inspire and brainstorm and so on and so forth. So if you guys are familiar with ChatGPT, you can type into ChatGPT a prompt such as, hey, I am let's say, business coach who specializes in, teaching people LinkedIn. What are some content topics? Give me 3 to 5 content topics that I can talk about in my content each week. And so basically, you just click the button and it'll pump out some ideas for you. Now, another bucket that a lot of people I see sometimes forget is your business bucket. Okay. No matter what your business is, everyone should have a business bucket. This is where you're going to share a little bit about your business, right? It's telling your story, why you started, maybe the core values of your business, different things behind the scenes that, again, are going to connect people to what it is that you do. Services you offer, testimonials, your why, your vision, right behind the scenes, right? You're going to want to make sure to have a business bucket so you can think of different ways, right, in a non-spammy way to actually share your business and all the things that I mentioned, right? Those are all different things and different ways that you can do that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is just go through a couple different examples. Again, just like with marketing, I always say it's kind of a science and an art, right? There's no, right or wrong answer. You guys could choose content topics, or content buckets. And later on, you might decide to switch it up a little bit. But the goal is that I want you guys to narrow down about 3 to 5 so that you're able to come up with lots of different topics underneath of those.
So if you guys are clear on this and this is making sense about how it's important to really get clear and specific with all this, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Because again, choosing those clear content buckets is so beyond important.
Absolutely. And this is all right. That big umbrella at the top, right, is what you do. And all the little things, all the content, everything, right, should all direct back to you, right, being the expert in that space. So keep in mind, again, I'm going to give you some examples, but if many of you are really focusing on LinkedIn, for example, again, great business platform, if you just chose as one of your content buckets, industry updates, that's a great bucket to have, right? If you keep people up to date just around industry updates, excellent. Okay. You could have 3. It could be one is your business, one is industry updates, and then one specifically, obviously tying to what it is that you do. Perfect. Right.
The other thing really quickly that I want to say, Nance, and then I want you to go on is also think about how unique of a product, service, or offering you have, right? Like how different is it from anything else, right? How unique? Because if someone asks you what you do and you express to them what it is that you do, is that person going to be like wowed, or are they going to be like, oh, I've, there's many of those out there, and this goes back to really positioning yourself as an expert, positioning yourself as the go-to person. And having all of those unique offerings is so beyond important. That's why, again, I could have been a social media coach, but I focused on just LinkedIn. Nancy could have focused on, every aspect of growing an online business. But what did she do? She positioned herself as the go-to expert in building your personal brand, right? In an online business using the personal branding aspect. So again, it's really, really important to really understand how unique of an offering you have is.
Absolutely. So, just to give you guys, again, some examples, let's say a marketing strategist, you can talk about entrepreneurship, if that's who you're primarily marketing to. You could talk about marketing tips, paid strategy, and then, of course, your business. Financial advisor, right? You can talk about financial topics, saving money, the planning process, and of course, your business. Realtor, I love this one because there's so many fun ways to really get out there, but you could share local business spotlights and feature each other, fun things to do in the area, local market stats, tips for buying a home, and so on and so forth. Health and wellness, right? Another great one. You can share nutrition tips, exercise, motivation, mindset, your business. When you choose your content buckets, it's just going to give you a starting point. Okay. Again, with everything that I say, try not to overthink this, right? And also, I want to remind you, you're not married to them, right? You don't have to, stay with the same ones. You can always, maybe a couple months in, you're like, you know what? I really love AI and how it applies to my industry. So I want to have a whole content bucket that talks about AI. Sure, you can do that. Okay. So then after you pick these content buckets, you're going to be able to brainstorm different content pieces underneath of that. Okay. So just to show you kind of like the breakdown of that. So if your content bucket, like mine, right, is personal branding, you can think of different topics under that you can talk about, such as what is a personal brand? Why build a personal brand? Where should you start building your personal brand? What types of content to post? What's your personal brand mission statement? So on and so forth. Okay. And it goes on and on. A fun little tip, again, I recommend, use ChatGPT, right? You can take a topic. So let's say it's LinkedIn, and you can type into ChatGPT and you can say, please come up with, if you're planning out content for the next 30 days, for example, 4 weeks, give me 4 right topics I can talk about around LinkedIn. And then hit the button and it's going to give you some ideas and some suggestions. And if you don't like the ideas they gave you, you can say, give me 10 more to choose from. Okay. So keep in mind, you guys have tools that were not available, years ago. Okay. And now you're able to get there much quicker. And there's so much more of a streamlined approach to really getting this content created so that you guys can enjoy more free time, right? We want to get this content created and scheduled and so that you can relax. The other tip is answerthepublic.com. Answerthepublic.com is a website that you can go to. I believe you get 3 free searches, but it will give you a list. All you got to do is type in the topic, and it's going to give you a ton of different ways that you can potentially talk about a topic. And it's what people are actually searching. So it's tied to SEO. It's really, really cool tool. So I highly recommend it. And then also there's a list in your workbook, right, that you can use to brainstorm. So I'm going to have Scott actually take over and hand the baton over to him. So he's going to pull up his slides. But again, content creation, I just want to reiterate, it does not have to be scary. It does not have to be overwhelming. It's just getting that framework in place to make sure that you guys are sharing value added content. Okay.
Thanks, Nance.
You got it.
So again, this is a very important aspect of what needs to be done. So if everybody is clear so far on everything that we've covered, right now, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure everybody understands, because again, taking the time to do this is so beyond important, right? The workbook that we guys gave you for all this week is meant to be not only a prompt, but accountability. We want you guys to learn so much from this that you're just off and running moving forward. Now, the other thing is that the time spent now will save you time and frustration later. There's an old quote that says, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And that's why it's so important for us to always get ahead of this. Now, what we wanted to go over right now is a step-by-step process to generate content that establishes you as the go-to expert. And this is important. So there's 3 typical steps. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like uber consistent, 1 being not consistent at all, where would you guys rate yourselves at creating consistent content on social media? Not just personal stuff, professional stuff. Where would you guys rate yourselves? A 1, 6, 0, 8, 1, 2. Okay. Now here's the thing. If you're not creating content, guess what? No one's going to know how brilliant you are. No one's going to know how amazing of offerings that you have. When you create content consistently on social media, again, there's so much out there for people to digest to then position you as the expert in your space. So there's 3 steps. So creating a pillar piece of content. So this is a long form piece of content, which I'm going to give you some examples. Then taking that long form piece of content and then creating something called micro content, which is mini pieces of that large piece. So it could be a long article that then is broken down into multiple smaller posts. And then you want to schedule, publish it, and post. So if that's clear, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. One of the most important aspects of becoming the expert in your spaces is having a consistent content creation routine for social media. That is where, again, it's social media. You need to create pieces of media, whether they're visual or auditory, such as videos and visual. You need a way for people to digest not only the content that you provide, but the expertise that you're showcasing. So the first step is obviously creating that pillar piece of content, so that long form. So this could be a blog, a video, or a podcast. Those are some examples. Now, people say, well, what is pillar content? So a content pillar is a very informative piece of content on a specific topic or a theme that can be broken down into many derivative sections, pieces, and materials. So some of the most commonly used ones are blog posts or newsletters, videos, and podcasts. And I think we're all familiar with that. So let me ask you guys right now 2 questions. First question is, of the 3 most often types of pillar content, long form blog posts or newsletters, videos or podcasts, what do you most commonly create yourself? So do you do blogs, videos, or podcasts? What do you most commonly do? Just type that answer in the chat just to get an idea. Deb says videos, none. White papers, blogs, and articles. Awesome. Now, none, and that's okay. We're going to change all of that. Now, here's the thing. My next question is this. What do you typically consume yourself? So not from the creator side, from the consumer side. Do you typically read blogs? Do you watch videos, or do you listen to podcasts? What type of pillar content do you consume? So Susan says videos. Awesome. Podcasts and videos, podcasts, videos. Awesome. So again, you have to understand that not only are we creating specific content for our audience, we're consuming pillar content that we maybe didn't even know was pillar content. So a blog or a long form newsletter or article is a form of online publishing that allows anyone to post articles or anything they feel like. So blogs can be used for personal or professional use, but are most often they're written by people who wish to share their thoughts and opinions with others in an informal setting. So I have a blog on LinkedIn. It's a newsletter called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. I'm approaching 8,000 subscribers of that newsletter, which I am so grateful for. It's part of what we teach in our Expert Authority program, how to start your own newsletter, how to get that kind of traction. I can't express to you enough how great it is to have that kind of content out there, because it can then A, be broken down into micro pieces, but B, it's searchable on the web. It's not just available on LinkedIn. It's available on Google, on Yahoo, on Bing, any major social search, you can find that type of content. So I like to write those long form blogs that become my LinkedIn articles. So blog posts that do well for content creation are mainly educational, filled with tips and value. So think of topics such as how to do this, or 3 tips for that, or, content right now, what is a hot topic? So if anyone reads any of my LinkedIn articles, it's typically 3 tips around a certain thing. So I did one the other day on the 3 ways that engagement pods will hurt your credibility on LinkedIn. So again, educating and informing your audience in those long form pieces can help you out. And also using ChatGPT for idea prompts. So if you can't think of a topic, or, what should I talk about? Or what are some leading trends in my industry? ChatGPT will give you a bunch of topics, and then you just have to bring light and information to it. So if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure everybody is clear. So you have your long form piece of content. And this is where the fun part begins. So again, if you are going to go with that blog or that long form newsletter, so things to prepare, think of a title, use ChatGPT. Think about the purpose for the reader. What is the main reason? What is the result? What's the purpose for you? Highlighting industry insights, highlighting your expertise. What questions will that long form piece of content answer? So when you're working from the end in mind, so, what questions do I want to answer? So using my last newsletter edition as an example, I wanted to answer the question, is it worth it joining an engagement pod? So I thought about that question and I worked backwards. So you can think of a quote, a short story, or any sort of anecdote to introduce the blog or that newsletter edition. And also think about your call to action. Remember, we talked about yesterday when we were going through the optimization of our social platforms, right? You want to have a specific call to action. You want to, check out my full article here, check out my website here, check out my free download here. Use those blogs or those long form LinkedIn article news editions to really drive traffic from online to offline. Now, creating content from a blog, the intro, the short piece, that short snippet of what you're talking about could become a quote graphic or a feature video you're sharing. Remember, you want to do like a 30 to 60 second video, you can break down one of those 3 tips into 3 separate videos. The short story or the anecdote can be the post that you share with that article, and the content within the blog can be your educational infographic post. So by creating that one long piece, it becomes so many others and you're speaking about the same thing. And I love theming out my content, so there's a consistency to everything that you want to do. So if everybody is clear on that so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure you guys are with me. Again, it's really important. And every single one of you, just to let you know, can grow as large of a business and as a profitable a business as you want. You just need the strategic approach to it. You just need the systems in place. You need plug and play. Following a simple structure like this is going to bring back such an ROI to everything that you do. Now, video is also something that I love doing. Again, it could be recorded at any length. We talked about 30 to 60 seconds yesterday. You can go a little bit deeper, and I sometimes recommend 2 to 5 minutes. So this becomes a length of time on your video where you can grab that additional content from it. Plus, people's attention spans are super short. So any longer than 5 minutes may not work for anyone's audience at this point, because in all honesty, goldfish have a longer attention span than we do. So the main point is, what does your audience want, right? Give them what they want. And that's why I always do questions. I always want to find out what my network is struggling with, just like all of you. I think all of you, just type a Y or a yes if you know what your ideal target market is struggling with. Just drop a Y or yes if you know off the top of your head, oh, I know 2 or 3 things that my ideal target market is struggling with. Yeah, of course. So the fact is that you have to shed light on those pain points. You have to shed light on those things that they want to be educated on. So the simplistic way to do a video, and it's 5 steps. Introduce yourself and say hello. Hey everyone, Scott Aaron here. Number 2, what you're going to talk about. Today we're going to talk about the 3 reasons why you may not want to join an engagement pod because it could hurt your credibility. 3, talk about your topic. Here are 3 reasons why. Number 1, here's a reason. Number 2, here's a reason. Number 3, here's a reason. Now let's recap. Again, your credibility is everything. Your reputation is everything. And by joining an engagement pod on LinkedIn could ruin all of that. Now, number 5, call to action. And it could be as simple one as this. Thank you for tuning into today's video. Let me know in the comments below, what was your biggest takeaway and needle mover that you learned in why you should not join a LinkedIn engagement pod. Have a great day. Bye-bye. And that's it. So if that's clear, type the word clear in the chat. So you introduce yourself, what you're going to talk about, and because, you talk about that topic, you recap, and that call to action. And Mike says he likes that term needle mover. Yeah, because again, we're always looking to move the needle of people's businesses and everything that they're doing. So again, check out your workbook for additional tips. And again, we went over this yesterday, but a little bit of that, but there are additional tips of what you can do, whether you're going to be doing the videos on the desktop or on your phone. Now, a podcast. You guys know, type a Y or a yes or an N or a no if you do or do not listen or have ever listened to my podcast. Just want to, yes, awesome, wonderful. If you haven't, it's called Networking and Marketing Made Simple. It's on every major platform. I'm over 500 episodes now and approaching 600,000 total listens, which is mind-blowing. Now, here's the beautiful thing about a podcast and part of Expert Authority. If you guys have always type me, if you've always thought about having your own podcast that's based around your zone of genius, just type the word me if you've thought about having your own podcast. So if you've ever thought about having your own podcast, part of what we teach in Expert Authority is actually how to create, launch, and grow a podcast around your zone of genius. That's part of Expert Authority, because part of your expertise should be having a podcast out there where you're educating and informing your audience. So another benefit of joining our Expert Authority program is you will have a podcast out there for people to listen to while being in the program. So again, another benefit to it is you're going to learn everything that we've done. I'm going to teach you my strategy of what I've done to grow, scale, increase my listens. And again, you're going to generate leads from your podcast as well. It's a lead generator. We get leads every single week from the podcast that Nancy and I put out there. Hers is called the Entrepreneur Rescue Mission. So again, just to kind of break down what a podcast is, it's a digital audio file available on the internet for downloading, listening to like a radio show, and doing a short episode like how I do once or twice a week will provide pillar content and a message. I love taking my podcast episodes and turning them into micro pieces of content. So the anatomy of a podcast, much like a video, much like a blog, it's the same. You have your title, your topic, your intro, your outro, and questions, a call to action. It's all the same. Some is just done in written form, some is done in video form, and some is done in audio form. But the framework is very interchangeable and much the same. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. And I just want you guys to all just imagine, just picture like having such streamlined processes, a year from now. Just imagine a year from now, having a consistent social media presence, having tons of content out there that's positioning you as an expert in your space, having your own podcast on iTunes and Spotify, potentially having your own book out there. It's just incredible. And Mike says, repurposing, how much time do you use for repurposing your content? It's all worked into it. So again, you want to kind of create a day, and, Nancy and I typically set aside a couple hours a week. We pick maybe a 90-minute chunk once a week to kind of repurpose some of that content. But there's some tools out there, and you have to first understand, and this actually piggybacks right off of Mike's question, is how do you prefer to create content? Do you prefer to create long form written content that can be then broken down? Do you prefer to create video content that can be repurposed? Or do you want to create audio format like a podcast and repurpose that way? So again, the first step in repurposing this process is first creating that pillar content. So if everybody is clear so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. I just want to make sure, because again, it's making sure that you guys have everything organized. And, one of the brilliant things that Nancy really doesn't talk about, that is part of her zone of genius, is anyone that knows her that's in expert authority. She is incredible at organization. I mean, she organizes our business, and she actually helps people in our expert authority program. She helps them organize their business. Like, we have everything mapped out. We use a project management tool called Trello to organize everything. And we give people access to those boards so they can get organized. And, this strategy that we're going through is part of her organizational genius. So just as an example, Nancy has her podcast, and then she can create, a productivity hack is, rev.com for transcribing, right? So then she did like a little infographic here, how she uses rev.com to transcribe a video. Step 1, shoot a video. 2, transcribe it using Rev. 3, create a blog, article, or content. So again, when you start breaking this stuff down, the micro content, it could be a number of different things, right? It could be just a quote tile. You could take a quote from what you said in a podcast episode, in your written piece of content, or your blog. And then you want to schedule and post it out. That's the idea. So if you're leading with LinkedIn, okay, so just drop just type the word me if you're going to be leading with LinkedIn. Type me if you're going to be leading with LinkedIn. Okay. So if you're leading with LinkedIn, this is a sample workflow for you. So this is what I always recommend. So Monday, you do a video, and just the example that I gave you guys here, 3 tips to build your personal brand online, right? So I did a video. It could be a LinkedIn Live if you wanted to do live video, or you can do that pre-recorded 2 to 5 minute video on your phone or through Zoom and upload it. So my theme of that week is building your personal brand. If you guys are with me so far, just type a Y or a yes in the chat. Just want to make sure you're with me. Now, the second thing that you're going to do, a poll question, right? So the poll question could be, what do you struggle most when it comes to building your personal brand? Again, staying with that theme. I'm not going off topic. Sharing what I do, creating content, getting started, other comment below. So now I'm doing my market research. Then what I'm going to do is on Friday, I'm going to write my long form blog post on LinkedIn, which is basically the 3 main goals to have on LinkedIn in 2023, 2024. And, it's building your brand on LinkedIn. And I'm going to go over 3 specific tips. So you have your video, you have your poll, and then you have your long form piece of content that all synergistically work together. So if that makes sense, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Good. Just want to make sure you guys are with me. Now, if you are leading with Facebook or Instagram, so maybe those are going to be your leading platforms, right? So Monday, you could do a quote. So an inspirational quote tile, right? So Nancy used an example here: for every minute spent in organizing, an hour is earned. Okay. So again, you're going to start maybe with an inspirational quote on Monday. Tuesday, you can do a video, educational video on something related to your zone of genius. And again, the great thing is, Facebook and Instagram, you can upload videos. They can be shorter form, like maybe a reel, or a short, or a full scale video. Completely up to you as the personal brand. Wednesday, this could be your business bucket. So a direct post related to your business and how you help and serve people, but providing value. So maybe giving a tip or two and then letting people know what you do. So an example could be, if I was going to do one this coming Tuesday as an example, I could say, the 3 benefits of joining a group coaching program. And I give a couple examples. And then I say, if interested, learn about ours here, click the link below. So again, you're giving education, you're being seen. And this is the most important thing, guys. Being seen as a person of value, a person of that's it. When you position yourself as a person of value, I can't tell you how good that feels. How, I get messages every week from people saying, just thank you for your positive posts. Thank you for your videos. And a mini video on Instagram. So you can do, I think, videos up to 60 seconds. You can post it as just an Instagram video, or it can be done as a reel, either or. A reel is more of like a interactive type of thing, but we're just going to do Instagram video. It's very, very simple to do. So if that's clear and if that makes sense, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Be a person of value. Again, everything that you're looking to do, you should be putting yourself out there. And if it's scaring you, that's a good thing. It's a good thing if it gives you some butterflies in your stomach and, you get very nervous. Putting yourself out there is one of the scariest things. But remember, I've said this before in other workshops, every master was once a disaster, right? Everyone starts at the same place. So Thursday, if you're on Facebook or Instagram, if you're leading with one of those, you can do an engaging question, right? Ask your audience. Friday, you can do something feel good. This could be just something that you're grateful for or appreciative of, all those things. So what you want to do is you want to go through your content buckets and you want to plan out the next 3 months in advance. Nancy and I follow something called, we run in, it's called the 12-week year. So we chunk things out for all of our expert authority members. And, people say, well, how do your members get the results that they get? Because we innately put them into hyperspeed without even knowing it, because we break down their goals into 12 weeks at a time. So they're accomplishing goals every week for 12 weeks. And then we do it again and again and again, because we meet with everyone one-on-one every quarter for an hour. Every person individually in our program, we meet with them for 60 minutes every quarter to go over their goals. And then we give them a strategy of what they need to do to accomplish those. So you really want to plan things out at least 3 months in advance. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about prospecting. So how many of you feel that you could be better at prospecting for your business? Drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Because again, business, anything that we're doing, it's a contact sport, right? So you can post all day long on social media, right? But you need to prospect. It's a must. You need to be social on social media. So Andy Crestodina, amazing guy. He says, if you're not making friends online, you're not growing a business. And we interviewed him actually on my podcast the other day, unbelievably. He's just an unbelievable human being. And when Nancy and I told him that we streamlined our business, that we now only work 3 days a week and we teach others how to do the same, his eyes lit up. But it's because of the relationships that we've built. So again, to break down what prospecting is, it's looking for new people who might want to buy what your business is selling. You have to be reaching out to people. Growing a business is a contact sport, and it doesn't need to be salesy. So think about this perspective, right? Building a business is a contact sport, right? You have to be reaching out and touching people. You have to be building relationships. Human connection is such an important part of growing a business. At the end of the day, just think about this. No prospecting, no sales. How many of you can agree? Just type the word agree. If you agree with the statement that if you were prospecting more, you would be creating more income. If you were prospecting more, you would be creating more income. We all have the answers to our problems. So what Nancy and I are so brilliant at teaching people is how to generate leads so you have sales. I mean, Mike Beverly, who's on here right now, he has at least 8 sales calls every single week. He's 4x'd his business since being in our Expert Authority Mastermind, because you need to put yourself out there. You need to prospect. You need to create leads so you can create sales. So, what's there's a bigger problem, right? We have to stop waiting. When we have that lack of clarity, it's going to keep us where we don't want to be. We keep sitting on our goals, right? We keep collecting shelf help, right? We buy book after book and we listen to podcast after podcast, but we're not putting anything into action. It's not a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of application. It's not for a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of application. So many service providers, coaches, consultants struggle to prospect, connect, and share what they do. People end up becoming uncomfortable that they have a negative mindset that they feel like they're going to come across salesy. You're not. Many times, people have spent so much time creating their business that they actually struggle to switch gears. Now that it's been created, I need to feed that business. So if that relates to you, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Yeah. Again, you're creating the business, but now you got to feed that business. You're not, if you're running a nonprofit, then that's one thing. But are you guys running nonprofits? No, you're running for-profit businesses, but you're treating them as nonprofits. It's time to turn them from a nonprofit into a for-profit business. If prospecting feels really, really crappy, right? It's going to give you crappy results. If prospecting feels crappy, you're going to get crappy results. It doesn't have to feel that way, right? And your mindset has a lot to do with it as well. Just drop a Y or a yes in the chat if you feel like you're getting in your own way. If you feel like you're getting in your own way, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Drop a Y or a yes if you feel that your lack of confidence in sharing what you do is getting in your way. And just drop a Y or a yes if are you unsure of how to go about prospecting, how to go about growing your business, how to go about creating sales. And here's the thing. You are here to help people. End of the day, every single one of you was created and put on this earth to help people. You were created to help put out business fires. But how bad does the pain have to be? How bad does that have to be? How many months have to go by? How many years have to go by of staying at the same financial spot? Burning the candle at both ends, right? Working harder, but not working smarter, right? How bad does the pain have to be? And that's where Nancy and I can help you, right? Why we created our group coaching hybrid mastermind, because it is very unique. We meet weekly, every single week for a year. We meet with people as a group weekly. We meet with people one-on-one every month, every quarter. Every quarter, we meet with each person one-on-one to go over your goals. We have a mindset call every Monday for the group. We have a book club within it. We have breakout sessions where people can network with each other and help each other solve their problems. We help people become clear, confident, visible, but most importantly, get traction for your business. The framework, the structure, the routine. Type me if you had the framework, structure, and routines that we have in place, it would help your business. It would help you grow. That is what we do. We want to help people go from where they are to where they never dreamed they could be. That's the whole point. How many years, think about this. Let's be honest. How many years, how many months, how long has your business been in the same place? Spinning those tires, right? Do you want to stay in the same place? The analogy that Nancy and I always give is you're not a tree, move. You know, how would it feel not to have to struggle anymore? Not to question what you should be doing for your business, to be able to trust yourself again, to make better business decisions, to make more money, to have clarity and confidence, and to have the foundations for your business in place, to have a plan of action. Remember, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Don't teach what you don't know. I love that statement. So many people are trying to teach what they don't know. You can't be the expert unless you know what you're talking about. And we've been there. We've been there. We've built brick and mortar and online 7-figure businesses. We've built $1 million businesses, brick and mortar, and now we've built $1 million online businesses. We're able to work 3 days a week. We run small and mighty businesses with high margin and low overhead. And that's what we can teach all of you. Everybody wants the same thing: health, wealth, peace, and abundance. If you want that, we can give that to you. We meet every single person where you are and help you run your dream business. Turn off the faucet of overwhelm, tap into the hybrid program that will keep you on track to building your business and achieving the goals the right way. That is the big thing. We want all of you to really achieve all those things. So as I said before, we have 2 winners to announce, and I do want to tell you what the homework obviously is for tomorrow. We already have 4 people that have booked calls to take 4 of the last spots that we have. I really encourage you, if you really want to throw gasoline on the fire of everything that you're doing, if you truly are, this is the honest to God truth, if you truly are sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're sick and tired of being in the same financial spot, you're sick and tired of not making the money that you want to make, and you're sick and tired of people not knowing how brilliant you are, that's exactly what we can help you do. Get out of your own way, getting out of the mud and skyrocketing what you have to do. Now, the homework is to choose your content buckets and what you do. So there's going to be a post at the top of the Facebook group. You have to share your content buckets, right? So that the topics of what you're going to talk about. So you can write 1 topic, you can write 2 topics. You can, again, it's your content buckets and topics, right? So if you're in health and wellness, break down a couple topics, right? So for me, it could be, tips on LinkedIn, growing your network, messaging people properly, right? Creating consistent LinkedIn content. All you have to do is drop those specific things in the comments of that LinkedIn post, or I'm sorry, in the Facebook group post. So if everybody is clear on that, drop a Y or a yes in the chat. Now, if this really spoke to you today and you, from in the bottom of your heart, you feel that you are ready to take the next step in your business and you are ready to have more impact, create more income, create more ease, just type the word ready in the comments below, because we need to be honest and truthful with ourselves. If we're really not happy with where we are, we can go to different places. You don't have to wait anymore. You don't. And again, I encourage anyone that is feeling that way is grab the link that I dropped in the chat. Drop the link in the chat. Schedule a call, talk to myself and Nancy. We can tell you all about the program. You don't have to brainstorm topics for the next 3 months. Just come up with a couple. Again, I don't want you guys feeling overwhelmed. Just a couple topics, right? And if you really are ready to take that next step, talk to us. We can tell you about the program, how you can take one of the remaining spots. The program starts in a couple of weeks, and I promise you, If you are coachable, if you are open, if you are driven, if you are motivated, if you want more, if you want to serve more people, all those things, and you want to do it with ease and peace and creating abundance, that's what we teach. So tomorrow we're going to be putting this all together in day number 5. And then obviously there's a bonus Q&A day with Nancy at 11 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. We'll be sending out more information on that. So the 2 homework winners, Bob Triscoli and Sabrina LJ. Those were the 2 winners from the homework thread. Again, to be qualified for that. So tomorrow we're going to be giving away autographed copies of our books. And then Saturday, Nancy's going to be announcing 2 winners of my virtual LinkedIn course, The 5 Layers of LinkedIn. But again, I'm going to drop the link one last time. I really, really highly encourage all of you, for those that don't want to be in the same place this time next year, right? Think about to change something, you have to change something. If you change nothing, nothing will change. So you have to understand, if you really want to be in a different financial position, personal, professional position, 12 months from now, just like Teresa shared earlier, she's 5x'd her income. She doubled it in the first 6 months, and she's on pace to 5x her revenue in 12 months. That could be all of you. So I encourage you to grab a link to chat with us. If you click that link that I shared in the chat, it pulls up our calendar. Grab a time. We've opened it up for the rest of, obviously, the week. And again, we would love to actually work with you. And again, we have a couple spots left. So we really hope you found value in these first 4 days. We're going to put it all together tomorrow together at 1:00 Eastern. And again, doing some full live coaching and Q&A with Nancy on Saturday at 11 a.m. So again, anything that you guys need, remember, use our support email, support@thetimetogrow.com. Love and gratitude. Have a wonderful rest of your